Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer online action. We are going to be playing as the Warriors of Chaos, facing up against the Beastmen. My forces will be led by Kholek Suneater, of course. He is carrying Lord of the Storm, as well as Standard Eye. We've got also the Swords of Chaos for support, of course, with their Guardian aura. They also have flaming attacks, anti-infantry, and armor piercing, which is all very, very good against Morgar. Well, I guess the armor piercing isn't necessarily pertinent, but the flaming attacks will let these guys put Morgar in a trash can very, very fast, so I definitely recommend bringing them in this matchup. We've also got a Metal Sorcerer with Final Transmutation, of course, Transmutation of Lead as well for a nice, melee debuff, and Searing Doom, pretty decent against low armor targets, so hey, why not? For the main line, we've got Marauders, one Marauder with Great Weapon in the center, and then two regular Marauders on each flank. We've got also Chaos Warriors with Great Weapons, kind of in the mid part of the line, and then on the outside, two Forsaken, of course, one of them being the Demon Spew with their Swarm of Flies, poison attacks. These guys are a must-pick, even with their price increase. We also do have these two Marauders with Javelins here, who are doing some nice harass on my opponent's flank. And that's about it for my build. For my opponent, he does have Morgar the Shadow Gave, of course. I have More Sleep, which is a decent pick against Chaos. If he can get this Warp Gaze in and, pin down Kholek and then use these Minotaurs with great weapons to beat him down, could definitely take him out in a big hurry. He does, of course, have a front line of Gore Herds with shields. Probably not the best pick. In my opinion, I'm not a huge fan of Minotaurs, and you'll see why in just a minute here. So I would have cut these guys and upgraded this whole front line to Bestigor, maybe one of them being the Korok's Man Rippers, and, definitely would be a lot better in my opinion, because these Gore Herd are going to have a really hard time against the infantry line that I have. They're going to get collapsed really, really hard. So my opponent also very sneakily Vanguard deployed these Centaurs with great weapons over here, which I have not spotted, so very good play on his part. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of Minotaurs. They're very expensive. They only have 35 armor, and they're going to take a lot of javelins to the face here from these relatively cheap missile cavalry, and they're not going to be able to catch them. I mean, they pretty much don't have a prayer. 92 speed versus only 68, so yeah, they're not going to have any chance of catching these guys as long as you just leave them on skirmish mode. They can run around like this, and this is the way you want to counter missile cavalry, is to bring your skirmishers around. But these guys don't have the longest range, so you can see they're going to be getting out of their arc of fire relatively shortly here. You can kind of see where their arc of fire is. I'm going to use the mobility to get out of here. Over here, since I didn't spot these Centaurs with great weapons, my opponent's going to get a great charge and immediately neutralize this unit of Forsaken. I mean, they're just going to pretty much disappear almost instantly from the battlefield. So once the armor piercing damage and all the charge bonus starts to kick in, yeah, you can see they're going down in a big, big hurry. So a little bit sloppy on my part. We are dropping a Final Transmutation over here. Although Morgar and the Eye of More Sleep do have magic resistance, well, I was curious to see what kind of damage it did, and it was okay. Not anything too great, especially considering it was an overcast, so it was a very expensive magic cost, but no big deal. We are going to get the mainline engagement underway here. These Gore Herds, like I said, are going to have a very tough time. They'd probably beat the Marauders one-on-one, but with the support of these Chaos Warriors with great weapons and the Forsaken on the flank, and, this Chaos Sorcerer is also in here chopping away at the Gores, so it's going to be a really tough time for my opponent. We did get the Marauder Horsemen with the Javelins over here. They're going to be skirmishing away, kind of pulling these Centaurs away from this fight, doing quite a bit of damage as well with their, their non-armor piercing missiles. You don't necessarily need armor piercing against the Centaurs since they only have 35 armor. So very good for me. We're also going to get in here and get a bit of a Clash of Titans going on. Kholek is going to face up against this Eye of More Sleep here. We're also pulling the Swords of Chaos through now that the front line is somewhat collapsed, and Morgar is going to be getting now beat down by the flaming attacks of the Swords of Chaos. So very, very bad day for my opponent, and it's looking grim already. You can see only a minute left on the battle replay, so things are going south fast, and this Eye of More Sleep is getting beat down in a huge hurry. Man, Kholek is just so legit, at least when he's not being distracted by random Beastmen infantry behind him. He's gonna put a major beating on this Eye of More Sleep. You can see it actually getting knocked over there, and Morgar again just getting beat down by the flaming attacks, and he does have just the standard regeneration, so it does give him a plus 20% weakness to fire damage, so the Swords of Chaos are a very good unit for taking him down, especially when they can get him in an isolated situation like this. It's just going to end really bad for Morker. He has no prayer here, so... The Minotaurs, too, weren't too effective. Mostly got shut down by the Forsaken on that flank and then just kind of beat down by the rest of the Chaos Infantry. Over here, this unit has rallied, but not being microed. And finally, these Centaurs, which have been chasing around this unit of Marauder Horsemen, decide that that's enough. They need to come help, but it is probably a little too late now, so... very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that. It was a pretty quick one, so we'll take a look at another. But in terms of the breakdown... Just, yeah, again, I definitely want to bring Bestigor, even though the Chaos Warriors with great weapons will trade, you know, pretty cost-effectively against Bestigor. I mean, it's still the only option you really have in terms of infantry, in my opinion, up against Chaos, just because the Gore Herds are not going to do much. You know, if he had cut these, cut the Gore Herds and then cut the 2 Minotaurs, bring, you know, 3 Bestigor Herd and the Koroks Man Rippers, maybe have a little bit of gold left over to do a Spearman or 2. The cheap Spearman can help, you know, soak up damage or deal... you know, help deal with the Swords of Chaos or whatever. So, yeah, other than that, pretty good build. I like the guerrilla deployment with the Centaurs. Unfortunately, he didn't capitalize it as well as he could have, but, you know, still a very good play. On my end, Kholek, of course, being an absolute champion. The Marauder Horsemen also very good. And we've also got the Swords of Chaos here. Yeah, the flaming damage is just so good against Morger. They can get put down by something like the Minotaurs with great weapons, but... you know, since I was able to deal with them effectively, it didn't end up being an issue, so hope you guys enjoyed watching that. Let's go ahead and take a look at one more Kholek replay, just because Kholek is awesome. I haven't really brought him too much previously, but there are certain matchups where he excels. The Beastmen are one where he can be very good, although you have to be careful. You know, a couple Gorbals and a unit of Minotaurs with great weapons can put down Kholek pretty quick. So it's a bit of a risk, but you know, if you have the proper support, he can definitely handle bars, as they say. So yeah, also in this matchup, of course, up against the Vampires, Kholek is very, very good. The anti-large armor-piercing, speed, and mass help him push through and get to high-value targets fast. He can cut down the Mortis engine in a big hurry, so pretty much a very similar build from the last game. It is slightly different in that I have just regular Chaos Marauders, the 2 Chaos Marauders with great weapons. We only have 3 Forsaken this time. I did cut things back a little bit so I could bring this unit right here. These guys, very cool. Summoners of Rage. They're kind of like mini Kholeks. So magic attacks can be good against the Vampires if they decide to bring Ethereals. Plus these guys have great combat stats all around. Heavy weapon strength, armor piercing, anti-large. They're great against Blood Knights. And yeah, a great unit against the Vampires overall, I would say. And you know, if you're bringing the Mountain God himself, you've got to bring his minions, right? Of course. So for my opponent, he does have Manfred von Karstein, very good pick. Front line of skeletons with a rear line of Cryptors, which is very common, and a Claw of Nagash. So very good overall. Very kind of meta vampire army, although we'll see how it goes for him. He does have this one unit of Blood Knights here as well, which he's kind of pulling back into a defensive position. That's very smart, but we're going to get the main line engagement underway pretty much immediately here. You can see the Swords of Chaos just punched right through those skeletons and immediately got onto the Cryptors, which is very good for me. I also failed to mention I do have this Fire Sorcerer as well, of course. Fireball and the Flaming Sword of Ruin. You may have seen that Fireball get popped off earlier, but in the mainline fight here, it's going to be pretty bad actually for the Vampires, because the Forsaken with their high weapon strength can beat down Cryptors pretty well. And here in the center pocket, where it's mostly Marauders, I've dropped the Flaming Sword of Ruin. Kholek with the Flaming Sword of Ruin will beat down this Claw of Nagash pretty much instantly, because it also has weakness to fire. So yeah, just in general, this is going to be very bad. The Kindle Flame also is stacking that weakness to fire. You can see a Wind of Death going off. It did some damage, but I kind of tried to force path my guys through my enemy's lines. And because it wasn't overcast, it didn't end up doing that much damage. Over here you can see the Summoners of Rage, supported by some Forsaken, beating down on these Blood Knights. Very, very bad day for them. Although they have managed to do quite a bit of damage in return, so I don't know that that was super cost effective for me. But Kholek just continuing to be an absolute menace, pulling around the back line, continuously chasing down this Claw of Nagash. We're also going to switch the Swords of Chaos onto the Claw of Nagash, since they have baseline flaming attacks. They'll be able to do pretty decent against it as well. So you can see the at this point, most of the Cryptors have popped. These ones are about to pop. We're going to be dropping another Flaming Sword of Ruin just to help the Summoners of Rage and these Chaos Warriors with great weapons and these other units kind of finish off these Cryptors. We don't want them to be just perpetually regenerating in there and dealing damage. So you can see those ones now disintegrate. Beautiful Lord of the Storm going off, blowing up some skeletons, and Kholek is continuing to deal damage. That fireball got a bit of a clip there. It wasn't a great hit, but it still did quite a bit of damage. I think an overcast fireball would actually do quite a bit of damage to the Klob Nagash if you managed to get square contact on it. But Manfred's now coming down, quite desperate, probably trying to regenerate some of his magic, but does barely manage to squeak away from Kholek there. Very good. You can see he's dropping probably Invocation of Nehek or something, maybe Doom and Darkness. I'm not sure what that was, but Spirit Leech going down on Kholek. And let's actually look to see what Manfred's carrying. So he's got Fate of Yuna, Spirit Leech, Invocation, Raise Dead, Wind of Death. Okay, so fairly standard kit. Probably the same spells I would bring with him, to be honest. But yeah, he's going to get beat down pretty hard by Kholek here. Definitely not a fight he wants to be in, but he doesn't really have much of a choice here. You can see another fireball going off, actually taking down one of the Cryptors, so that's nice. Anytime you can take down a unit model of those guys is great. So this other unit of Cryptors continuing to hold here, but my opponent does admit defeat. So very, very fun battle. Chaos used to struggle mightily against the vampires, but you know, with all the tools they have now, I would say they're definitely in a much better place. The Demon Spewer are a great unit at just absolutely cutting through fodder. 134 kills. You can see 100 kills on these Marauders, actually, coming up against skeletons, I would imagine. But still, 123 on these as well, just chopping through the fodder in a big hurry. The Swords of Chaos doing very well, getting 53 kills, slaying quite a few Crypt Horrors. Summoners of Rage helped deal with those Blood Knights. They did get completely wiped out, but, you know, very good leadership overall. Kholek, of course, helping deal with the Klob Nagash, and just being an absolute beast. The Fire Sorcerer as well. I'm a big fan of Lore of Fire against the vampires, if you're using Chaos, or like Norska, or even the Empire to some extent. I mean, Lore of Life and Lore of Light are very strong, but you know, there's an argument to be made for Lore of Fire there. But for Chaos and for Norska, definitely bring Lore of Fire. So for my opponent, yeah, just the Cryptors, you know, not what they used to be with their cost increase. I mean, it's a couple of them, this one at least got a decent amount of kills, but you know, it wasn't anything overly substantial. So Blood Knights getting put down. They did get 3 ranks. I'm not sure if that was just solo, or, you know, probably wasn't the most cost-effective trade to just send the Summoners of Rage in there like that, but, you know, they were able to tie him down and keep him from getting to Kholek, which was the main goal. Spears didn't do a whole lot. Again, the Skeletons didn't do a whole lot. Just getting beat down very hard. So very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed those Kholek casts. I know Kholek's very cool, very powerful. He is a large target, which makes him squishy in some regards, but he can dish out so much pain. Great lord all around. One of my favorites. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you're liking the content, hit that like button and subscribe. I appreciate all the support. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.